Welcome in. We're glad you're here. Hello, hello. My name is Jamie, and I'm delighted to have you joining us. We have some new attendees, Sue and Wayne, also both for the first time, and we've welcomed in some others that are joining us. And so many of you are coming back, and that is so very, very exciting. This is a continuous club. We meet the first Thursday of every month online at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, unless there's a holiday nearby, then sometimes it's the second Thursday. So come on in and we welcome you back. If you ever have a suggestion for a future club topic, drop it in the chat. So let's jump in. It is April, and that means it's time for our April Declutter Club. And this particular topic for this month is how to know what it's worth, appraise your items. So here we go. Oh my gosh, I'm just seeing all the lovely chats. And thank you so much for keeping that conversation going in the chat, saying hi to one another. We might be becoming fast friends. We're getting together every month. And my name is Jamie Novak. I'm the author of multiple books on organizing, including Keep This, Toss That. And part of our presentation comes from the book, available at the library or wherever you get books, and it's written in checklist format. So if you have a copy, you can pull it out, and we're really going to be working from the appraisal part, the treasures part, and we have a friend tuning in from China. So thank you so much for tuning in. We're delighted that the library makes that possible because it's virtual, and we do thank the library for that and everything else they do for us. So this is our April Declutter Club. We're back together again. It is my favorite evening of the month where we get to come back together, and I do hope we're going to see you next month as well. So let's jump in, because when everyone, everywhere, all at once is finding some things that they maybe aren't using and loving, they're in their curio cabinet, their attic, basement, garage, treasures from years gone by, and you're like, oh, you know what? I'm decluttering and I don't think I need this anymore. So maybe it has some monetary value. Of course, sentimental value is a whole other kind of value. But when we talk monetary value, you know what? Maybe I could sell this. And then everyone, everywhere, all at once is maybe downsizing because of a certain age range. We're like, you know what? I want to thin out. Maybe there's a next generation in your family, children, nieces, grandchildren, and they're like, yeah, no, don't want any of that stuff. And so you think maybe I can sell it. So what happens is, with all of us doing it all at one time, we're flooding the market. We are flooding the market. And when that happens, sometimes the value of things really drops down. And there's not always the same interest and passion for things as there has been before. So this is the challenge. And so as we're talking about this in our time together, I absolutely love that so many of you are checking in to say what you've done since last month. And that is one of my favorite parts of getting together, because it's that accountability. I will do this before next month, and then you come here and say it in the chat. And I love when you check in about that. And I am cheering on all of your wins, as if you joined us last month, you're posting what you did in the last few weeks. So yay, go you. This is so very exciting. I thought we'd begin our time together talking about the endowment effect. This is a real effect that's been studied, not by me, but by others. And it says, where people place a higher value on something they own compared to an identical item that they don't own. Where people place a higher value on something they own compared to an identical item they don't own. The effect suggests that ownership increases an item's perceived worth, leading to an individual to demand more to give up the object than they would be willing to pay to acquire it. So in so many words, what this is really saying is, if you own this adorable little teapot situation thing, and you're like, oh, I've owned this for years. Maybe someone gave it to you. It was a gift. You bought it as a souvenir. Maybe you don't even know what it is, but you own it. And gosh, if I were to sell this, I might want, $250 for it. I own it. It's mine. It's valuable. However, if I'm in a store and I see this exact item sitting on a shelf and I'm thinking, would I want to buy that? Maybe I'd give 75, but not anything more than that. And of course, what we realize is that we tend to have a perceived value of our items being more valuable than the exact same item if we were to purchase it. So that's called the endowment effect. You may have experienced this in your own life, or you just may want to be aware that it's a thing and it's a bit of a situation we can fall into because we're like, oh, I wouldn't possibly let it go for less than this. But then would you really buy it for that? So that's what the endowment effect says in sort of a short version of it. And I wanted to share that with you as we get started, because how do we know what something is? So if we just need to identify it because we don't know who made the teapot, what piece of jewelry that is, or how do we know what something is worth? And that is what we're going to answer during our time together. So I have a variety of ways for helping to identify what something is, and they will, except for I think one, they will all be free. And of course, our awesome library is a great place to start because there are research and reference books that you can look things up in, like spoons and depression era glass and all sorts of things. However, the library is not open 24 hours a day as much as we wish that it was. So sometimes you're home and you need to do a little research, and I'll show you some easy ways to do that. So how do we know what something is to identify it, or how do we know what something is worth, and how can we get it somewhat appraised, at least a general beginning of an appraisal for free? So towards the end of our time together, if you have a device available like a phone or a tablet, we'll have a little activity that you can follow along with. If that's not available to you, don't worry. You don't have to have it. The step is, I think, easy enough that you can do it after. Or if you're joining us from the device and you can't follow along, don't worry. Don't stress about it. It's totally fine. Okay. So you might be thinking eBay. This is the one I hear all the time. Jamie, I could just look my thing up on eBay and see what it is and figure out like how much it's going for. And yes, you could for sure. But there is a little trick when it comes to doing your online research on eBay. The first thing I'll say is that if you're going to be doing a little research about your item on eBay, I would just envision like flashing warning lights and like warning signs and big exclamation points and like, whoa, hold on. Because what can happen is once we log on to eBay, do you know where I'm going to go with this? Let me know if you think you know what I'm going to say in the chat. If you log on to eBay intending to do research and instead we end up, who's going to say it in the chat? It begins with an S. Did you guess? Shopping? We end up shopping on eBay. Who guessed it? Let's check in. If you know me well. Yep. So here's the challenge. Now, Ellen's going, nope, not me. I won't. But certainly for some of us, it would be a little too tempting. So if you own this cute little adorable Beanie Baby by the TY company, I knew it was named Seaweed because the one that I have has the little tag. Its name is Seaweed. Adorable, right? And so if you went to eBay, like many people do, and I have done in the past myself, you log into eBay and you type in like Beanie Baby, Seaweed, and then what comes up? Well, here's one for $280, $199.99, $500, $300. These were the first 4 results that came up when I searched this on eBay, which would lead me to believe that I have hit the jackpot. My Beanie Baby in a similar condition could sell and possibly has sold based on these results. But here's the really interesting thing. When we do a little tick box to filter the results, which is probably the most important part when you're doing some research on eBay, over on the left-hand side of the screen, when you do your search under Show Only, you're going to see sold items. And I would love for you to just tick that box, because when you do that, what will happen is it will filter the results from being all the results to being, you guessed it, just the sold items. So now my Beanie Baby at $500 has dipped in value just a smidge And we see that one sold on April 3rd for $11.99. One sold on March 31st for $2.03 plus almost $5 in shipping. One sold March 31st for $9 with free shipping. So sort of similar, right? When you do sort of that math. So this will give us a much more realistic view of what things are currently selling for on eBay. Because as you can imagine, you can list almost anything, not anything, but almost anything on eBay for almost any price. And so if I wouldn't give mine away or sell it for under $1,000, I could list it for $1,000. And if someone wanted my exact one, even though it's identical to the one that sold for 99 cents, then they'll pay me $1,000. So we need the person that's willing to buy something at the time they want to buy it to pay the price that you're willing to let it go for. And we need that match. Without that match, there's no sale. So eBay is a popular place to do research. I wanted to mention it right away. I don't know if you would sell there or not, but for our purposes this evening, in terms of looking at appraising things and seeing what they're currently selling for, we'll just look at that one more time. I'll pop a slide back. Here we go. Show, sold, show only, and then sold items. Sold items. And that will give you a much clearer picture of what's truly selling. And here are the real numbers. Now, if mine had something very unique about it, or maybe it had been signed, or there had been a limited edition, or they had accidentally made this seaweed with the wrong material, which has happened for some of them, then that would be the one that would sell for possibly a lot more if there was a buyer willing to pay the money for it. So it's always tricky like that. All right, so that's a little bit about eBay. So I thought I would share with you just some other places that you might not necessarily think about or know about for getting some items looked at, possibly given you, what they think, as an expert in their particular field, what they think it might be worth, or what, if they're in the know about their particular field, they'll be able to go ahead and see that. So that would be really helpful. So it would be something we'll consider, and an art gallery, So if you had some sort of a painting, there are art galleries across the country. Even if the art gallery isn't in your town, you'd be able to call them and say, hey, I found this in the attic. It looks like it has a signature similar to, some of the pieces that you have displayed there. If you know who, painted it or created it, there may be a gallery specific to them. You can reach out. The people that work there are passionate about the art and maybe that particular artist, and they're going to be in the know. And they could say to you, oh, but look on the back. Does it have a signed thing? Does it have a number? Oh, do you want to, tell us about it? You could send a picture. We could tell you more about it. So this would be a way of just getting more information. For example, if you had train sets, mostly meant for children, but adults tend to collect them. So, the train sets, maybe they're electric and they've got the tracks, and then maybe they even have like different pieces. Well, there's a gentleman in Tinton Falls, New Jersey, not too far from where I am. He's in Tinton Falls, New Jersey, and his website is The Train Doctor, and he just loves trains. He has a whole warehouse of trains. He talks about trains all the time. He loves trains. And so we have found a very passionate collector of trains who buys and sells trains, who also really knows the train market these days. And so I was able to call him as my aunt is sort of paring down her home and say, we've got these two train sets. And he's like, oh yeah, that one is really something right now. And that one, not so much. There's really not a big market for those. So it was very helpful to identify and then be able to understand the condition and the accessories. So there's so many different ways of doing this. And oh my gosh, Barbara's husband is not too far, Tinton Falls. Yep, beautiful area. That is so funny, the Train Doctor. Maybe he knows him. That's great. So an art gallery, just giving a jingle. I've done this many, many times throughout the years, and just asking. And then if they don't know, you could say, well, do you know anyone who would know? And then who knows, they may know, and it leads you to the next step. So it's almost sometimes being like a little bit of a detective, but you just get the information that you need, hopefully at the end of it. And of course, sometimes it's someone's opinion. These are not, maybe trained, collectors, and we'll talk about that in a minute. but they're not trained appraisers. They can't give you like an appraisal for insurance purposes, but at least they can give you some information. And information is often what we need next. GameStop. There are GameStop stores in lots of different places, including if you're in the area of the library in Lowell, Massachusetts, and GameStop stores. Guess what they buy? Video games and video game consoles. So if you have those, you could pop in and just take a look at their video games. They might buy them. They could tell you, it's something. I was working with a client not that many years back, and she had we opened it up and we thought that it was one of those like where you put transparencies and like a projector, but it wasn't. It had transparency pieces, but it turns out it was a video game. So you would tape those transparency pieces over your very old television and then play this game that was almost like pre-Atari. But she had no idea. I didn't know. We brought it into a GameStop. And the people at GameStop, it was truly looking just to identify it. Whether or not you sell it there is a different story. And we always want to make sure that we've done our research, that someone's not giving us a low number because they want to buy it. But if you're just trying to identify it. And so GameStop told us what it was, but said it was so special and so unique that they couldn't offer what it was probably worth, which was very honest of them. And they sent us over to a different video store that we didn't even know existed. And turns out it was quite something. So it was over $1,000, and she was very happy to give it a new home. And otherwise it would have just probably gone in the trash. So to find like a local art store, an art gallery, you can just, you can go to your like map. So if you open up your phone as if you were going to GPS something, and you went to your maps on your phone, which I'm doing with you right now. And then you could just type in something like art gallery, and you could type in like GameStop, and it will show you where the next newest one is, or, a video game store kind of a thing. So yeah, there you go. If you are doing the eBay thing and you're not seeing that drop down bar, it may look like there's a plus and a minus, and sometimes it doesn't open until you push the plus and the minus above show only. So, or next to show only. So give that a try and see how you make out. And if you're looking to appraise books, if you're wondering, does this first edition signed copy, does this special book have like some monetary value these days? You can check out biblio.com or abebooks.com. Sometimes I look at both because one might be a very different number than another. So you can go ahead and check that out. Biblio.com and abebooks.com for some books. So you may have some special pieces, some special books, first editions. And just because it's a first edition doesn't mean that it has significant value. But what's shocking to me was like some cookbooks, like a very old Fanny Farmer that my mother had that we used like the whole time in childhood. It was like $795, like true sales of them, not just like someone listed it for that. So it's always sometimes surprising, and you just might, hit the jackpot. So Biblio and Abe Books. So we'll look at a few other different categories. We'll look at what makes something valuable, and then we'll practice with our own phone a little step that I'm going to show you if you'd like to join us for that. This one is replacements.com, and their phone number is 1-800-REPLACE, replacements.com. So let's say you had broken a gravy boat that went to your set of dishes. Or if you maybe needed a spoon because it got thrown away accidentally, and now your, beautiful flatware is, missing a piece. You have estate jewelry or a pocket watch. You have a candlestick. You have silver or crystal or collectibles. Of the month clubs like plates and figurines and things. Okay, so if you needed one of those because you maybe had broken one and you were trying to replace it, you could contact replacements.com and see if they have it in stock and buy it from them to complete your set. Well, how does replacements.com have all of that stuff in stock? They buy it from us. They buy it from us. So you could reach out to replacements.com. Jeanette sharing with us, have used replacements to find dishes, and they're great. I love that you said that. I did as well. It was a gift. Someone dropped a plate and they were devastated, and we were able to get it. So I love your experience. Thank you for sharing. So replacements.com, you could go to their website, and all the way down at the bottom, you'll see like contact us, and you can submit a picture of what you have. Now, they may want to buy it from you. Whether or not you want to sell it to them, I don't know, but they will help you identify it. So we recently sent in a set of glasses. It was a picture of a set of glasses. It had gold trim, but I had no idea if it was real gold. And each of the glasses had like a poker chip embedded in the glass. No markings on the bottom. I couldn't identify it. I tried, and it wasn't working out. So I sent the picture to replacements. In about 48 hours, replacements got back to me by email, and they said, oh, hey, that's what these are. And it had a very fancy name, and they're 18 karat gold trim and all the things. And then they said, if you want to sell them, this is what we give it to you for. But I mean, I didn't want to sell them. I wasn't sure. I guess if the number had been higher, maybe I would have thought about it. But really, I was trying to identify it to see the value, and then of course to see, if I would potentially sell it to them. So you have to, remember there's some questions coming in about like, well, is replacements going to be that high dollar amount? I have no idea, but they are going to have room for a markup, right? Because they're buying it from you, but then they have to make a profit. So they cannot give you the full value of something, full value in terms of if you sold it direct to the end user on, let's say, eBay. So maybe replacements will give you $70 because they need room for markup, but someone on eBay would pay you a full 100. I don't know. I would say that replacements would potentially be an easier sale because it's a guaranteed sale and it's going to replacements versus selling on eBay where someone could say, oh, it was broken in transit. So lots of, different things. When you get your response from replacements, it will tell you all the things that you might be asking about, like, but they do pay up front. It's an outright sale. It's not like they're listing it for you it's not like they're consigning it for you. It is an outright sale. So estate jewelry and pocket watches and all the things that would come out of like your hutch in a dining room and collectibles and all sorts of things. So replacements.com. And if you're enjoying the presentation, I certainly hope that you are. I just want to remind you that we do have some upcoming. It's the first Thursday of every month, except for July because it's too close to July 4th. And so these are our topics, and we hope you'll come. Of course, you can always check in. And if you're working during our declutter time, which I know some of you are, you're using this hour to sort of listen, but also sort something out. And so I love that we're getting things done during the presentation, plus we're getting together, plus all the things. So you can go to the library's website to register, and you can go to jamienovak.com. So you're going to pay to get the items to replacements and declutter. Declutter, D-E-C-L-U-T-T-R, declutter.com. So no E before the R is correct. Declutter, D-E-C-L-U-T-T-R.com. They buy CDs, they buy DVDs, they buy Blu-rays, they buy video games, video game consoles, and they buy some books. They also buy some electronics. So you could contact them. So you go to declutter.com, you type in what you have. They'll tell you if they want to buy it. It's again an outright sale. And then you ship it to them. They pay the shipping. And it's your padded envelope, but they pay the shipping, and then they can pay you by check or another method if you're comfortable with another method, but you may prefer a check. So declutter, and this would be a way of, putting in your CD or your movie or your music and seeing like, oh, that's 50 cents, $5, $7. I don't know. And often it depends on like what they have in stock. So that's the challenge. So if you've got some like old wrestling DVDs or something else, stay tuned. We're going to take a look at how we can identify them for some potential value as well. And shoes and clothes and handbags. If you have luxury, like designer brand names, you can contact The Real because they'll have like a Zoom meeting with you to authenticate the item and then tell you what they could pay you for it. This could be a consignment. They might buy it outright. But even if you're not sure you want to sell it, they can help you figure out like what it is it authentic? And if it is, sort of what that going number might be. So, oh, it's a good question about Declutter. Do they expect the CDs and DVDs to be scratch-free? I don't think scratch-free, but they would expect them to work. I'm assuming they're going to check that on their side, but scratches don't necessarily mean it's not going to work. But if it skips, then that's probably going to be a no. So here are some things that can make something valuable. And of course, we never know for sure. We never know for sure. So the rarity of it, it's a limited production, it's discontinued, it has errors or misprints. So that can make something valuable. For example, there are some Beanie Babies and on their tag, there's a misprint. Do you have the one with the misprint that makes it more valuable to a collector? Or is it just the regular one? But again, we need the person that thinks that they want it for the price you're willing to sell it for. What else can make something valuable? The condition of it. Mint condition, which means new in box. It's never been unboxed. It's still sealed. Original packaging, original documentation. And then we can look at if there's been no restoration to it, which is why you'll often hear, please don't clean things like coins or jewelry, because sometimes that patina is actually what makes it valuable. And by us cleaning it off, we've just cleaned off all of the value. So what can make something valuable? The condition of it, which means if you're holding on to something, hoping that the value will come back around, you have to be storing it in a climate controlled space, not too hot, not too cold, not too humid, not in direct sunlight, not crushed by anything else. I mean, there's a lot of requirements for storing things for potential future sale. The popularity and demand of it. Does it have cultural or historical significance? Is it trending? Are there interests? So, for example, when the Barbie movie came out a few months or years ago, Barbie was very hot at that time. If you had older Barbies, newer Barbies, anything Barbie, it was like all Barbie. And then, I'm sure there's still somewhat of a market for it, but maybe not as much. So, but it might come around again if they make another Barbie movie, but who knows? And will you keep the item until then? I'm not sure. Only you know the answer to that. What else can make something valuable? It's age, and again, age due to historical significance. So from key historical periods of time, association with important events. And this is where you might say, oh, great, I've got a magazine. And on the cover, it was something like very historical and momentous. But if everyone has that magazine, or no one really wants that magazine, or your magazine is in imperfect condition, then that can all affect the potential value of these items. We'll look at just a few more and then dive back into some resources. The authenticity of it, the provenance. Do you have a certificate of authenticity? And I don't mean just the one that, like, when you get a collectible, like the plate of the month club, and then it comes with like that little certificate of authenticity. I'm sure that's lovely, but if many of us were members of that of the month club and we all got those plates, then there's just so many of them. So even though it may have been given a number, this is number 1000 in 10,000, that were ever made, but that's still a lot made. And so there's a lot out there. So well-documented history or verification or grading by an expert agency. So if you need that, one of the places you can contact is appraisers.org. It's the American Society of Appraisers. There are others, there's other societies. So you would, do your own research and due diligence to make sure that this is a match for you, but you would be paying out of pocket. I would expect when I worked with one, it was about $100 an hour. I don't know what someone would charge. It might depend on, is it virtual? Is it in person? What paperwork will you want? Do you just want them to tell you? Do you want a certificate of authenticity? Especially if you need one for insurance purposes or if you're going to be selling something. So it depends on how much research they have to do and all the things. So if you were going to meet with someone, I would say have all of your items out and ready. And there are specialists in all different fields, quilts and dolls and coins and collectibles and all the things. So you could meet with them, but that is going to be a paid out of pocket experience for us because, that's their business. And what else can make something valuable? Just the brand or the maker being, extremely prestigious, signed, very famous designers or artists. So it can make it more valuable. And what else can make something valuable? Being a limited edition or a special release. So a limited run, a specific number of them, a collaboration, right? So you'll see like, maybe someone in entertainment, does a collaboration with something like a handbag, and now you've got this special limited edition. Doesn't ensure that it's valuable, but it can make something more valuable. And then finally, our last few ways something can be more valuable: unique craftsmanship, high quality materials, intricate designs. So if someone made something very unique, if they only made one of them, that can make it super, super special. Trends and timing, which we can really never guess. The cycles of popularity, it changes, it ebbs, it flows, there's cycles. Something is an anniversary. And so if you knew that there was an anniversary of someone's passing coming up and you owned their, record or book, or there was a magazine cover, because there'll be a lot of news coverage around it and it will be sort of in the zeitgeist. If you put that out there, you might get a sale at that time. Are you going to hold on to something until then? I'm not sure. And then finally, what can make something valuable? Just the pop culture influence, if it's tied to movies and music, iconic moments, or if it just brings you back to a childhood memory. So I know that I have 3 younger sisters, and when my next sister, so my first sister was born, my mother purchased me a doll with all the little, bathing toys and all the things, so that as she was caring for my sister, I would have something new in way of a toy doll. And it was a very kind idea, and she gave it to me, but the doll suffered through the years, but I really loved it. And I always dreamt of getting a brand new one, still in its shrink wrap. I just wanted to have one. I had such good memories to the one that I had owned, and I just wanted one. And there was one on eBay, and it was probably more than I would usually spend on something that's kind of a little bit of an indulgence like that, but it was important to me. And so I'm sure the person that had it up for sale, I don't know if they expected to get what they were asking for, but I really, really wanted it. And I still have it, and I love it, and it makes me happy every time I see it, and it's still in its shrink wrap. So sometimes it's just someone really wants it, and you won't know until you find out. So that's the tricky part of it all. So we're going to have an opportunity to do a little moment together now if you'd like to join us. And so I'm going to walk you through. If you do have a device and you'd like to practice with us, please do. There were a lot of questions that rolled in the chat and in the Q&A. I think this will answer a lot of them, but while you're practicing with us, I'll make sure to circle back so that I don't miss anything, because I wouldn't want to overlook your question. So we're going to practice with Google Lens. Now, Google Lens is on our Android devices if you're an Android user. If you're an iPhone user, you may not have Google on your phone, but there may be a workaround, or you may feel comfortable using the Google app. I want to remind you that Google Lens is free. So if you get somewhere that says buy something, pay for an app, do something, that's not correct. And I would just go back to your home screen or turn your phone off and turn it back on. We've gotten somewhere that's not correct, because Google Lens and everything I'm going to show you is free to use. So something went awry if you get somewhere that's asking you to pay for something, okay? So I'm going to walk you through it, then I can walk you through it again, and hopefully this will be fun and easy, even if you don't feel particularly tech savvy some days. You're probably, faster with the tech than you might give yourself credit for. So we are going to want to get to Google. So you can follow along, but we'll do this a few times, so don't worry if you feel like you're a little bit lost. So on my phone, and I can show this to you on the screen, I have Google right there. See Google? And then the search bar. And the search bar looks just like the one that's on the screen. Really what we need is that little square in the corner. It looks like a camera lens. So it's a square with a circle. It's meant to indicate the front of a camera. That is Google Lens. It's usually next to the microphone. We don't care about the microphone. We care about the little square. Sometimes on newer phones, iPhone and Android, when you open up your camera to take a picture, that little icon appears. My phone is older. My phone doesn't have that. Your phone might have it. So if you open up your camera as if you were going to take a picture, you just might see that little camera icon, which would be the lens piece. If not, then we're going to open up our Google. And if you're an iPhone user, it may ask you if you want to download Google. Google Lens is part of Google. So if you want to download Google, and that's a you decision, I'm not saying to do it if you're not comfortable. And if you're not comfortable, there's a workaround for doing it like from a computer if you didn't want to download. So you are going to touch that little tiny square. So I'm touching it in my search bar, and it opens what's called Google Lens. Google Lens. And you'll know you're there because it will say very clearly across the top, Google Lens. And then for most of us, what we'll be doing is if you have the item near you, or you would be able to point your camera at the item, you're going to touch that little camera icon up top. It's a little circle. It's going to open up the camera. So now what you're probably seeing is me facing my camera lens towards myself with my hand in the camera. So it opened up the camera. If you're using it for the first time, it might ask if you give permission to open the camera. And of course, if you agree, then you can use it. If you don't agree, you won't be able to use it. So I'm going to hold my camera pointing at this little teapot figurine situation, and I'm going to hit that little circle at the bottom that's going to look like a search button. And now that I did that, so you saw that figurine in my hand, you see the figurine in the camera, and then it says to me, oh, we know that figurine. We know that figurine because we've found it elsewhere on the websites. We found it on eBay. We found it on Poshmark. We found it on Mercari. Some of the major websites where people are selling things, we have seen this particular figurine. And then we can tell you that that figurine is, and then it gives you the name and it gives you what it's currently selling for in different places. So if that made sense to you and you feel comfortable to sort of continue on, you can certainly practice on your own. If that didn't feel like you got it, we can circle back and answer all of your questions about it. It's Google Lens, it's free, and you're not really taking a picture of it, but you're just using it for sort of an analyzation, like it's analyzing it. I don't think analyzation is a word, sorry. Maybe it is. I don't know. We just made it a word. Okay, here we go. So again, I did the Google Lens, and here, in fact, let me stop the screen share in case this will be a little larger for you to view. So you can see right here, it tells me, oh, this is a vintage Tony Carter miniature dining table teapot. And you can see one on sale for eBay. You can see another one on sale for eBay, another one on sale for eBay, $24, another one on sale, eBay, $24. So this would be an opportunity. So yes, it is the Google app, and Google Lens is part of the Google app. So if you have Google, or you can try, yes, thank you, Alan, try to go to your camera and see if you see that icon, because it might be there if you have a newer phone. So we're doing a little analysis, as Ellen said. Thank you so much. Sometimes the words I get lost. All right, so if you don't know whether you have Google or not, then we can look at like your phone, and if you just scroll through the apps, you'll know if you have Google because you'll see the Google G. So I'll put that back on the screen so you can see what that little icon would look like. So if you have Google, you're going to see the Google G icon, which looks like this. And that's how you would know that you have Google on your phone. So of all the apps that you have, Solitaire and map apps and weather apps and email apps and all the apps we have, if you see the G that looks like that, and of course that's a registered trademark of Google, it's that little G, you would know you have the Google app. That's how you would know that. And if you're not sure, you might be able to say to your phone, like open Google or open Google Lens, because sometimes you can tell your phone to do things. And if you can, and it responds, then that's another way to find out if you have it. So everyone is maybe practicing along with us, and perfect. Okay, so everyone's gonna practice, and then let us know if you're able to give it a go. Did anyone find a treasure? If you have cameras, I would say a local camera shop is buying cameras. If you have records, record shops are still buying them. So we may have hit the jackpot, Karen. Congratulations. So it's always fun to see if you think you have something, and then we'll, do a little more research to make sure. But how exciting that you might have found something that's really cool. Worked really well for Leanne. Thank you for that feedback. So if you're giving it a go. Now, if you're practicing along with us or you want to know what else Google Lens can do, you can do so much with Google Lens. So remember, some phones have the lens feature to analyze a picture or a photo, a live camera right there in the camera app. Not all of them, but if you have a newer phone, it might. If you're stuck and you're using an iPhone, you can call 1-800-MY-APPLE. If you're using a tablet, any Apple product, an iPhone, an iPad, a Mac Air, you can call 1-800-MY-APPLE, 1-800-MY-APPLE, and they can help you. It's 24 hours a day, free, 1-800-MY-APPLE. So Google Lens actually does way more than just help us identify something or identify a potential value of something. Of course, that's how we're using it during tonight's presentation. But the really cool thing is that Google Lens allows you to do so much more. So you can search for so many more things than just identifying and appraising things. You can lens, let's say you had something in a foreign language, hold your lens over it and it will translate it for you. If you had a house plant that was starting to not look so happy, you could Google Lens it and it will tell you how to revive it. You can identify flowers on a tree or trees by their leaves, bugs and birds. You can identify dogs, I guess cats too. I don't have one, so I didn't try it. Shoes, like if you're like, oh, where did you buy those shoes? Google Lens them, it'll tell you where to buy them. And so much more. My sister needed a piece for her oven. So she Google Lensed it and she was too close to her oven. So Google Lens thought she wanted to know information about cockpits in an airplane because it had all this, signatures and the numbers and the digital numbers. So then when she stepped back and got the whole like oven, then they knew, oh, we don't want the, airplane cockpit, you want the whole oven. And then she knew the make and model and she was able to order her piece. So many different ways to use Google Lens. If you're using it for something else, let us know. There's two other things you can do to get even more accurate results. And that would be once you have gotten your image of the piece, whatever it is that you are lensing, right underneath, it will say, add to the image search, add to the image or more about this image or ask more about this image. So if you knew that you had purchased it on vacation in a specific state or country, you could put that information to help Google narrow down the results of, you don't want me to look all over the world, just tell me this. If you knew the year of something or if you knew the make of something but not the model, you could help Google give you even more accurate results. Now we just practiced this opening up our camera lens and pointing the camera at something specific. If you didn't have the item, if you had a picture of the item, when you go to Google Lens, instead of the camera turning on, just choose from the pictures down below. So if you had recently taken a picture, so I'll practice that with you now. I have my camera open. I'm going to take a picture of this item. So I'm taking a picture right now. And so now I can show you, I'm not holding the item any longer. I just have the picture right here in the phone. So I've taken the picture with my camera. I exit out of the camera, I go back to Google Lens, and I'm going to select from my camera roll the picture that I just took, and it can identify from the picture. Now, I also just did here, this was a walk earlier, and that's the tree with some flowers, and Google said, oh yeah, we know those are cherry blossoms. So within a second, Google's like, we got it, those are cherry blossoms. So if you weren't sure, it would tell you. So you can add more information for more accurate results. You can choose from a photo instead of if you weren't near the actual live item. And then you can use Google Lens for so much more than simply identifying and or appraising items. So it's so true. We're checking all the different things. I just love everything that so many of you are sharing. Corningware does have quite a following right now, and Replacements has your discontinued Pyrex for 120. Yeah, in fact, there was a whole news article just done about people loving the Pyrex like design so much they were getting tattoos of them. So go figure. We've got an antique coffee grinder and so much more. Cameras, a local camera shop. Camera shops, you could call Princeton Camera. It's New York Camera in Princeton, New Jersey, which I know is outside your area, depending on where you're tuning in from, unless you happen to be near Princeton, New Jersey, but New York camera in Princeton, New Jersey, and you just sort of talk to them. They love cameras, and you tell them what you have. I don't know that you would necessarily sell it to them. I don't even know if you want to sell it, but it would be a great opportunity to get more information and just talk cameras. And then record shops, they still exist and they're very popular. I would expect a popular record in used condition to be under $1 per record. But if you have 300 of them, it adds up. So let's do this one more time, just so we can sort of all practice along one more time. And yeah, it's so sad when something doesn't come up with a value that you thought. And I don't know that we're, set on that, but you can Google Lens your violin. You can check with a local music shop. You can check with a music teacher. Those would be great options as well. So I've opened up my phone and I have an Android, so I have Google. If you don't have Google, you might choose to download the Google app, but that of course will be up to you. And remember, it's all free. So when I'm on Google and I see my little search bar, all the way on the side of the search bar is a little tiny square. It's next to the microphone. And when I touch it, it opens Google Lens. So it lets you know you're in the right place. You've opened Google Lens. From there, you could select a picture from your camera gallery if you wanted to, or you could go ahead and click the little circle in the black box. It opens up your camera. You might need to give it permission the first time, just so that it knows you agree. We point our camera at the specific item. So we're pointing the camera at the specific item. Give it a clean background. Like if I pointed it against here, it would be very difficult for it to read. So try to get, a good background without too much clutter. And so I took that I snapped it. So I pushed the little circle to analyze. And then instantly Google went, oh yeah, we recognize that. That is and it tells you what it is. It tells you what it is. And so it's the vintage Tony Carter miniature dining table teapot. Florence, you can sell old records to record shops. So just go to your Google Maps. So if you're looking for a camera shop, you're looking for a record shop, go to Google Maps like you're going to GPS to somewhere. And in the search, type in record shop or camera shop. And when I type it in, all the little pinpoints are record shops near me. And then we do a little research. We call them, do you buy records? Oh, yes, great. Is the buyer in? Yes, great. Let me come on down. So anything particular you're looking for, anything you don't want to take, and you kind of get some of that information. So yeah. And if you get a result like there's no, monetary value to the camera just online, that may be true. Now, is there someone in like a camera club that is looking for that exact one? I don't know, but I do know one place we can find them. If you're on Facebook, and not everyone is, so I don't want to, just assume that you are, but if you or a friend is on Facebook, what you can do when you go to Facebook, if you have a Facebook account and you're comfortable on social media, which is a lot of ifs and buts, but if you are, when you get to there, there's a little search button. It always looks like the magnifying glass, so it's a circle with a line. It's right at the top, and I'm going to touch the search. And then I'm going to type in, what do you want to find? And I'm going to say, what am I going to say? Barbie groups. Okay, Barbie group. Got it. And then what happens? All the groups come up. There are multiple groups on Facebook for Barbie. There's Coca-Cola and Cabbage Patch Kids and model horses and McDonald's, toys. I mean, it's just all the things. And so you can find a group, you can join a group, and these are enthusiast groups. These are enthusiast groups of people that they are passionate about this particular item or collectible or whatever it is. And then they'll help you like figure out what it is you have. And so it's really exciting, I think, if you're interested in doing a little research. So that is a few hints for Google Lens. So you've been trying it with us. Please continue to try if you'd like to. Hopefully we're getting you over any hurdles. If you're stuck, 1-800-MY-APPLE if you're an Apple user for iPhones or iPads. If you can pop over to a library, oftentimes there's a very talented tech librarian that sometimes you have to book an appointment with them. Sometimes you can just walk in and they'll be like, hey, this is how you do it. Google Lens, boop, 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 write down how they did it and you'll be all set. So VHS tapes, the ones that are like still in their shrink wrap for recording onto, high value because they don't really make them anymore. Commercial movies and things like that, not so much. But that being said, some of the red label ones by Disney have a really big following. So there's a lot to be said here. Sure, Cheryl, here's the book. It's Keep This, Toss That, published by Reader's Digest. And it is written in checklist format to make your life easy. So Keep This, Toss That, published by Reader's Digest, available wherever books are. Anne said she used the Electrolux vacuum enthusiast group. Okay, first of all, didn't know there was such a thing, but now I guess it doesn't really surprise me. That's pretty cool. Way to go, Anne, because she really needed that specialty part. And that's exactly where you're going to find some of these things, or who to sell it to, because if they're enthusiastic about it, they might just be interested in buying it. So thanks, Diane. Appreciate that. Bills and coins. Julie, you can do the same thing. Google Lens them. The challenge is you'd have to go through each one of them. So that is a challenge. Yep, Susan, great idea. Pop into the library or call 1-800-MY-APPLE. Stay tuned if you have coins and cards. I have an idea for you. Costume jewelry, or just jewelry. So costume jewelry or jewelry. I wouldn't take it into a chain jeweler like you might see like in a mall, but your local town jeweler, you know, the local shop right in front of you. They don't take it to a back room, right in front of you using the little loop. They'll tell you what it is. If you go to a chain place, they're usually going to charge you about $100 to appraise it. And they often take it from you and send it out, which personally, I'm not interested in. But just a little local shop, pop in, they bring out their little jeweler's loop and they can tell you, you know, white gold from not white gold, amethyst from, you know, just a gemstone. And we just did this with my aunt, who I mentioned is downsizing. And we thought that she had a diamond, took it in, turns out it's an aquamarine. Under the beautiful lights of the jeweler, we could tell then it was a very faint aquamarine, but at home we just thought it was a diamond. So I hope that's helpful. Yeah, so many cool things. All right, so jewelry, don't let it out of your sight. Keep it right in front of you, a trusted local shop, and probably not a chain, and it should be free. If it's not, I'd be skeptical. If you have comics or art cells, if you have these types of pieces, you can check out Comic Connect, comicconnect.com, Comic Connect. And Antiques Roadshow. Has anyone ever said you should go on Antiques Roadshow? Have you ever wanted to go on Antiques Roadshow? I guess this is our own sort of version of the Antiques Roadshow, but that's their phone number and that is their email address if you wanted to reach out and ask when they're going to be in your area, if there's an opportunity to get on the show. So that is the Antiques Roadshow information. I have a friend that got on Antiques Roadshow and they gave her like her little clip, and every so often we play it, and it's just so much fun. All right, and stamps and coins and cards, Stacks and Bowers. They have different locations across the country, but again, they know, right? You call and you're like, I have this, and they're like, well, of all those pennies, look for these. Of all those stamps, look for these. The challenge is that the coin collectors, the stamp collectors of maybe, you know, a time gone by, there just really isn't the enthusiasm for those right now. And so that's a challenge. So there's not really a big market for it, but when you find that one person that wants it, you're all set. Oh, Julie applied. Maybe she can reapply. Oh, darn. That would have been fun. For those of you that are in the area of our awesome Chelmsford Library, don't forget this Sunday, April 6th, from 1:30 to 4, you can register to bring in some broken items to learn to fix them with local volunteers. And if you are great at fixing stuff, you can be registered to be a fixer. So we would love to have you join us. There's the information there. There's the phone number. So if you're in the area and can come to the clinic to fix something, and or maybe you can be a fixer. We love to bring these old things back to life, and we don't have to buy them anew and then dump the old one in the landfill. So thank you to all the fixers, and please join us if you can. In addition, our awesome library has a library of things, and your library may have a library of things. And so the library of things allows you to borrow them from the library. And this is just a handful of things that were listed that you can borrow. Like instead of buying an ice cream maker, borrow it, make ice cream, and then return it. So comicconnect.com is what you want, Beatrice, comicconnect.com. Diana, I didn't say anything about the Kennedy half dollars. So that I don't know, unless someone else said it in the chat, but that wasn't me. All right. And remember to get a library card or renew. So if you don't have a card, whatever your home library is, we do hope that you'll sign up for the card and make sure everyone in the household has one as well. Libraries are just the best, the absolute best. So do join us, mark your calendar. We'll be here again May 1st to stop procrastinating. We're going to do a little digital decluttering on June 5th. July 10th is files to piles. It's all about what papers to keep. If you want to sell your stuff, in fact, maybe you found a value and now maybe you're thinking of selling it, we're going to look at that. And then, of course, we've got a few more coming up. So we cannot wait to see you. If you want to set yourself a goal between now and when you join us on May 1st, this would be the time to do it. If you don't like that kind of pressure and you didn't know there was going to be homework, don't worry, you don't have to do anything at all. But we do hope that you'll register and join us again on May 1st. If we're meeting for the first time, you can follow me and stay in touch at jamienovak.com, where you can see a full resource list, sell, appraise, donate, recycle, all the things. And it's right there on the home page. There's a free printable tidy up calendar, and every day I give you a tiny assignment. Every Monday, there's a new podcast. There's about 400 of them now. So please do join me there and we can stay in touch between our presentations. So some of you are getting ready to log off and go do all the things. Let's pop into a few Q&A moments as we are wrapping up. I want to thank you so much for taking an hour out of your evening and spending it here with us. So I hope this is really, really helpful. All right, what is the name of the train place in New Jersey? It is The Train Doctor. The Train Doctor. All right, and if you get anywhere where it says to activate an account, to put in a credit card, that is wrong. Do not do anything like that. Everything I shared with you is free. Do not give your credit card to anyone. Nope, that would not be correct. I'm so glad you asked about that. We have our upcoming days. Yes, flower identifying. So if you had a flower and you wanted to know what it was, or a plant in the yard, so that might be really helpful. Yep. If you are going to use replacements, I would check with like a local UPS and see if they had like a, ground delivery that wasn't too expensive. Barbie dolls to see, I would say, Jennifer, head over to an enthusiast group on Facebook for Barbies. They can probably tell you pretty much fast, unless you wanted to look each one of them up, which might take some time, but it can be fun if you enjoy it. So hopefully that's helpful. All right, and old coins and bills, again, Google Lens, also Stocks and Bowers. So hopefully that's helpful. An old Macintosh computer. Oh, that's so fascinating. So yeah, I don't, that one's tricky because selling it and then shipping it sounds like a really challenging thing. And to get it there in its same condition, that might be the kind of thing that like a tag sale or a yard sale would be great. The enthusiast group is on Facebook. So if you have a Facebook account and you go to Facebook, you can check, there's a little search button. It's the circle with the line like a magnifying glass. And then you'll be able to put in what you have, Barbies or model horses or anything else, and you'll find a group you can join, and you're all set. Oh yes, great ideas. I'm amazed with all your wonderful ideas. Thank you everyone for sharing in the chat and just being a part of this, all of it. It's just amazing. All right. So we were appraising today. We weren't so much selling. Our upcoming presentation about selling is coming up on, hang on, where's our selling date? Oh, August 7th. So if you want to appraise some things and figure it out for our presentation on August 7th, I do hope that you'll be able to join us. Of course, if you needed more sell information in the book or at jamienovak.com. And for those of you that were having trouble finding that show sold only button, that'll be the last thing I share with you before we have to say goodbye for the night. And boy, I hope you had as much fun as I did. And I can't wait to hear what you do before now and, between now and next time we get together. So on the screen in just a moment, hopefully you'll be able to see. This is that where I searched Seaweed, the Beanie Baby. And then on the left-hand bar, you see category and retired and age level and character. and price and all the things, and you go all the way down and it'll say show only. It's almost probably one of the last things on the list, show only. And there's a little plus sign. You might have to click it to enlarge that option. And when you do, sold only comes up. I'm going to click it and it's filtering my results to show me what has sold more recently. So I hope that that was helpful. It's definitely there. If you're doing it on a phone, it may be located in a different place. I'm showing it to you right from the website online. So sometimes it looks a little bit different on your phone. So hopefully that was helpful. For those of you that were looking for the upcoming presentations, let me give you that. There you go. So it's the first Thursday of every month, except if it lands close to a holiday. I see all of your lovely comments. These programs and all the others are listed at jamienovak.com. Yep, so you can go there. And the programs with the library are at chelmsfordlibrary.org. So much good information. Thank you. I'm so glad you enjoyed everything. Our last slide was just a thank you slide. I'm not sure if that's the one you're looking for, but I hope that it is. Well, I can't believe it. We're going to have to say so long until next month, but the good news is we'll be together next month. So I'm so thrilled that you learned a lot and we all now know what the endowment effect is. And so we can go look some things up, make some, decisions based with better information. And now we know what to do. And you're probably going to wow friends and family when you can Google lens a flower and tell them what it is, and they're going to be shocked. So thank you everyone for playing along with us this evening. If you want to promise yourself what you're going to do between now and May 1st, please do, because when we come back in May, we're going to want to know, what would you like to do? So there we go. Wonderful. So many awesome comments rolling in. Thank you everyone for joining us. We cannot wait to have you tune in. If you're raising your hand to speak, this is a webinar, so there's not an opportunity to have you join us in that way, but I hope you were able to jump in the chat and join the conversation over there. So I hope that works. Thank you. A big thank you to the library, all the staff at the library that make these programs possible and all the other ones. So there we go. Yes, Joan's going to stop paying for her app and use Google for free. We love that. We've saved everyone money. Yay. Well, we're going to have to say so long, but thank you again for tuning in, and we will see you on May 1st. And that is when we are going to learn how to stop procrastinating and get things done. We'll see you then, everyone. Have a lovely rest of the day, a happy April, and we'll see you on May 1st. Be well, everyone. So long.